What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Heavy Wrench. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have seen the past two videos. I've put a lot of work into this road grader. Looks backwards right now, but we're gonna do some more time lapse. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll get right to that time lapse. I gotta get my day started, so enjoy. It's a big job to do these transmissions. There's a lot of extra sheet metal and tank and coolers and all sorts of stuff that bury that transmission in there so deep and crazy. Yeah, it's a lot of work, so they're no joke. Have a great day. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, hit that like button, comment, subscribe if you want. Let me know what you're thinking. If you're liking these videos more than the other ones, let me know. I would like to do some more tool ones, but we'll see how that goes. So, have a great day. So here we go. We're going to start putting this back together, and right now I'm getting some side panels on and getting some front panel on there. Here in a second there will be the front panel going on, but the first thing I'm going to do is get these panels on the front and side, because now that the engine's down, I can actually put those back together. Those are the last things I took off because I didn't realize how far forward the engine had to tip in order to get that transmission out. Now here I go, I'm putting on the hydraulic pump, getting it all situated on there. The pump drive coupler actually has a deep side and a shallow side, and I had that reversed there so it wouldn't go on all the way, so it had to come back off. Them are all the trans cooler lines and transmission lines to filter. I flushed them out in the parts washer, and now I'm going to put them on with new O-rings. That little kit to the left of me there, the yellow kit, is an O-ring kit you can get from John Deere, and it's a pretty good kit. It gives you all the flat face O-ring seals in different sizes. I generally, when I'm doing a job like this, I'll use that kit and then just replenish the parts that I ordered in that kit, or just sort the O-rings out and put them in there to begin with. So here I am, I'm getting the hydraulic pump bolted on, some hoses hooked up. Now we're putting on the actual filter housing and battery tray. The batteries sit up on top of there. You'll see me crane them in a little while, but now we're getting all the hoses hooked up to the filters. The one in the front, I believe, is the axle filter, then it's the transmission, and then it's the hydraulic filter. All three filters are remote there. It's a really nice setup on these road graders, pretty easy to service, not a bad setup. So you can see I got a bag over the hydraulic pump suction line back there, and then that blue cap is a plug that I've saved off of different things or whatever. So I use them to plug the hydraulic suction lines off, so nothing really gets in there. So here I am, I'm zip tying up some wiring harness here. There's quite a bit of wiring that had to come off and go back on this machine. Sensors to each one of those filters have a filter restriction, so here I am. I buttoned up all the hoses up on top and getting them finished up now. Well, I use this, you see that rope hanging there around the turbo a little bit. I use that to tie onto this line so I can actually pull it up through. I use a lot of ropes and different things. I've actually got a bunch of fittings that I've welded nuts on the end of to pull lines through. You can actually put the cap and plug on there, whichever one, run the recoil rope through it, and as you're dragging the hose out, it leaves that line so you can drag the new one back in with the same cap or plug. So it makes it pretty nice and easy. This one here I didn't do it that way, but you know what I'm saying. It's makes it nice. But that other side over there, that's the main electrical panel, and there is a lot of wiring down there. There's two big main fuse circuit breakers. It's got a light switch. It's got your all your starter has to be hooked up on that side and disconnected because battery cables come up top where the wrenches are sitting. Now I'm getting some more things tightened up on the back side of the trans there. I believe it's the hoses that I was working on. Putting away my wrenches for a minute so I can go on to the next phase of what I'm doing. And here I'm going to get straightened up a little bit, spend some time hooking up some other stuff on that side. Don't really know what I'm hooking up over there, but I believe that's like the starter wires and all that stuff, like I said just a minute ago. But yeah, getting stuff sorted out. Back to it again. It does take a long time to get all the stuff routed right on that side. I wanted to make sure that no harnesses were going to rub and everything was straight, and take my time and make sure it's right, and zip tie everything up and make sure everything comes through nicely. The def line I just seen pop up there, it's coming out the back side there. It does run up and then forward into the after treatment system. So yeah, getting everything sorted out on that side was pretty difficult. I almost wish I could have done the time lapse from that side of the machine instead of this side, but getting it all zip tied up and more stuff. It's just crazy how much stuff there is to actually hook up. I mean, there was a lot on that side. If you guys could see it, it'd be way better, but that's just not how I can take the video. I can get the good angle from here, the best one, I feel. And hopefully you guys do too. Looks like I'm going to be going underneath, hooking up a last hose under there. Here we go. We're going to start putting on I'm not really sure what I'm hooking up on that side right now. I might be routing the new def lines, or the def line coolant tubes, and getting all that stuff straightened out. But there's the battery trays going on, so that's the actual battery hold down piece that kind of encapsulates the batteries so they don't take all that heat right from the turbo there. It's pretty crazy how much of a heat shield is right there. Here I am, I'm pulling off the fuel neck, the filler neck, putting a bag over it. That way, it was kind of tricky when I was coming out with it to get around that filler neck. So I just did that the other way. I'm using the crane to set the batteries in because it's just so much easier. You know, if you can use the crane to do it. I didn't use it to take them out, but putting them back in, well, you know, work smarter, not harder. So here we are, that cooling pack on the back there. That actually has the trans cooler in it, and the charge air coolers there laying on the ground right next to, right kind of behind me there. But it's got the trans cooler, the radiator, the axle oil cooler is part of the trans oil cooler. The fuel cooler's on there, and I think that's all of them. But that's also the hydraulic tank. So that big unit is pretty big here. I'm going to spin it around, give you a view kind of, you'll be able to see the cooler here. I'm draining it and kind of making a mess everywhere it seems like, but keep picking up as you go and do the best you can. You get puddles of oil everywhere and man, it just gets messy. But here I got to change fittings from one cooler to the next, and you know, when you're putting in a reman, it is important to change that cooler because you never know what types of debris is going to be left in there. You can try to flush them out the best you want, but at the end of the day, I really don't know if you're going to get them truly flushed out that well. You know, well enough to guarantee the price of a transmission. That cooler's pretty cheap insurance. You know, it's just not something I'd recommend doing. The hoses, on the other hand, you know, you can flush out a hose pretty easy. Now I got the cooling pack on. The battery actually died when I was setting it, which was horrible. Which I do apologize for that, but I'm working. I'm not making YouTube videos, you know. I'm trying to do the time lapse so that way I can just go do some editing at the end and you guys can see what I'm doing. So here I'm getting the AC condenser put in, which that thing there, I just didn't disconnect any of the hoses. I just moved it around and kind of manipulated it around so I didn't have to, you know, take apart the AC and potentially create a leak or have to worry about it, or have to even deal with it. So here I am, I'm putting on, there's a bunch of hoses that got to be hooked up and a bunch of stuff on the back of the tank there. I'll be going, there was quite a bit of wiring that had to go up in there, hoses and tubes. There's some steel tubes in there and a valve. So there's quite a bit to hook up on the tank and on the stuff, and now that I got everything in place, I'm kind of tightening everything up that needed to be tightened. I just kind of had it sitting there loose so that way I could get it all buttoned up. Now I got pretty much everything in the back buttoned up too, and putting in coolant. I use those buckets. They're good, clean buckets that I've cleaned out myself. I paint them black like that, right? Good used coolant on them because that's what I like to keep my coolant in. And there's nothing wrong with the coolant. Adding the hydraulic oil that I drained out, same type of deal. I use a good clean drum. Now I'm actually using that. That's a snap-on vacuum fill system. It works really well. I enjoy. You can see the hose clamp, or the hose there, the radiator hose, just below the coolant tank. It's collapsed right down, and I'm just filling it up and then getting the rest of it here and letting it fill up the hydraulic tank and get everything all buttoned up. But I leave a vacuum on it for quite a long time here just to check and make sure there's no leaks. Even though I got it full, I just want to see if anything comes down. So I like doing a vacuum check along with a pressure check. I actually don't have the pressure check on here, but I do like to do it that way. So here we go. We're getting the coolant in it and getting the hydraulic oil in it. And it looks like, yeah, we're doing good. We're getting there. We're getting closer. I don't know exactly how how to explain this or do these. I'm not very good at voiceovers, I'll tell you that for sure. But I do appreciate you guys sticking around and hanging in there and, you know, doing everything like that. But we're almost wrapped up here. I'm going to end up, it's full of coolant, full of trans oil, full of hydraulic oil, full of engine oil. I didn't drain the engine oil, but checked it. We're getting the rest of the lines hooked up here, getting the filters on here in a second, and then we'll be good to go. My bolt bin there is starting to get pretty empty. It's good that I only had a couple of bolts left, but they were bolts that I replaced, so that was good. I don't generally get rid of the bolts that I replace until at the end there of the job, so that way I can double check myself and make sure. But when you bag everything and tag everything and it goes back together pretty darn smooth, it's not too bad. So here I am pulling it back in after I took it out, washed it off, made sure everything was clean, checking for leaks again, a little test drive. Finishing up the final touches here, getting some zip ties on, putting the panels on the side. I'm going to put the hood panel on here. You'll see my tray of bolts gets bigger because I tagged and bagged all the hood bolts in one bag, and now they're all in one spot. Dump them in that tray and move along. So it really worked out good. I'm happy with the job. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I enjoy doing the time lapse here. I know some of the camera angles aren't the greatest and all that stuff, but hopefully I can get better at picking the right angles and doing some better stuff for it, these time lapses. And I enjoy doing them. The voiceover is getting a little bit easier for me. It doesn't feel so odd just talking to the camera about what I'm doing and not being in it so much. So I appreciate you guys watching this, and like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, guys, keep that iron moving.